Thank you, Tim, and welcome back. So we've got a little bit of a lopsided one here in terms of record. Cedric, just 2 wins for BBD. Brad's on 7. But that being said, BBD is coming in with a deck that could have a decent matchup here. What do you make of this matchup between Azorius Blink and Gruul Adventures?
Well, I'll say this. I'd like to start for the opening hand because you've got a Skyclave Apparition. You've got Thassa to be able to blink that Skyclave Apparition. And then, of course, we know what the 4/5 Urian Sky Nomad can do. Now, the matchup, I think, is probably pretty close. Um, I know there aren't a lot of players playing Gruul Adventures. Brad is one of the few that is doing that. And I do think that Brian has geared his deck more towards beating creature-based strategies. So I think if you're gonna go with a build of this kind of Azorius Blink deck, I think to beat Gruul Adventures, I think this is a good way to go about doing it. If you're Brian,
Okay. So perhaps a way to end his weekend on an up note. These do accumulate over multiple events. So, even scrapping out a win here just to get to 3 could combine with a good weekend, down the line to kind of even things out here for BBD, who clearly hasn't had the start that he was hoping for. Brad on a very solid 7 wins right now and looking to finish as strong as possible. The 7 win mark, solid. Getting that 8th win is nice.
yeah, I mean, we all know what it's like to end the day or a weekend on a winning note as opposed to a losing one. But an 8th win here would be fantastic here for Nelson. But as you did mention, Marshall, as we're going to see at Birth of Miletus here, going to be searching up a Plains Hero BBD. As you mentioned, the wins, even though it's just 3, if Brian does win this one, those wins accumulate over multiple events. So when we say every win counts, we definitely mean it.
Yeah, it actually really matters here in a very big way, where to the point that like we're going to get to tiebreakers or close matches near the end of this thing, and players are going to be looking back and going, was there a match that I could have focused more on in the middle of the second, day of one of these things that I just sort of like wasn't feeling that great and spaced out? Because that's what we're going to be looking for here. Here comes the Skyclave Apparition. It's going to come down, take care of the Love Struck Beast. And also, of course, we've been talking about the records, but these two players are extremely close in real life. They live together. They're best friends. They do a podcast together. Their lives are very much intertwined, and they're probably sitting, just in separate rooms at their house down in Renton. So, yeah, a lot on the line there. Just from a friendship perspective, I think that it does change a little bit when one of the players has had a rough weekend. I think even somebody like as boisterous as Brad is less likely to go run in and, rub it in his face if he ends up winning this thing. Because it can be tough, right? I mean, being a pro gamer of really any sort is a tough one when you have a tough weekend like what BBD's had.
For sure. And this is definitely a tough weekend here for BBD. As you see that Brushfire Elemental coming in for 3. It's obvious the number of wins indicates how difficult of a day it has been, but as we've mentioned, leaving the day on a winning note can kind of at least say, hey, you know what? Not everything went great, but I ended on a positive and get back out there for the next one of these league weekends. So that's what he's looking to do here.
That's right. Yeah, so the Brushfire Elemental gets in unopposed, knocks BBD down to 16. He's going to attack with the Apparition. He's actually drawn another one as well. He also has Urian Sky Nomad as well as Thassa Deep Dwelling as options. So he's going to get to play one spell this turn, but they're good ones. Whichever he chooses.
Yeah, I mean, I like the attack. We could see these two creatures trade, right? We could see Edgewall Innkeeper and the token double block the Skyclave Apparition. Brad is thinking about that right now, I believe. And if that were to happen, the Apparition would, of course, leave the battlefield, which means there'd be a 3/3 illusion token left over, and then another copy of Skyclave Apparition could come down. Or it could be time to establish that one of Thassa Deep Dwelling, which, again, is an incredibly powerful card in Brian's deck. Not great in multiples, but if you do find that one and get it going, it is nice.
Yeah, that's one way you can really accrue a lot of value over the course of the game. And look at this, Brad is going for the double block here on the Apparition. That'll get the Edgewall Innkeeper off the battlefield. Brad will get the 3/3 illusion token, but BBD has the backup plan here. He's got the second Apparition here. That's going to take care of the Brushfire Elemental, and the 3/3 against the 0/4, no problem.
Yeah, no problem at all. And you can see Brian's hand, how it's just lined up beautifully. You've got Thassa that you didn't deploy that turn, but in a future turn, almost certainly. And then multiple copies of Urian Sky Nomad. So, you play fifth land, you play Urian, you blink out your Skyclave apparition, you have it come back in. If there's something threatening on the battlefield that you feel as though is worth exiling. And not to mention that just the 4 or 5 flying Sky Nomad is difficult for Brad's deck to beat, just in a general sense, because it's big.
Yep, that's right. Brad has Kazandu Mammoth. He also has Gem Razor available, but he decides not to play it here. Omen of the Sun was the draw step there for BBD.
It's interesting too, this whole MPL rivals thing, and talk about having a bad weekend here in league play for Brian with only 2 wins, potentially a third one, depending on how these games go. I think some people maybe forget sometimes that Brian is a world champion. A Grand Prix champion, someone who's done well in Pro Tour level events. Like, he has a very lengthy resume and a title that most people would kill for in World Champion. And Marshall, I'm sure you were there covering that event. I mean, that World Championship that he won, where he beat Marcio in the finals. I mean, you want to talk about a lengthy, hard set of games between those two players, where Brian was cool, calm, and collected all the way through to win that match and that title. I know the record doesn't look good this weekend, but we know what his ceiling looks like, and it's really darn high.
It's really, really high. I mean, that was one of the hardest matches to I was exhausted commentating that match. He had to play.
It was over like, it was like 2, maybe 3 hours. I don't even know how long it was. It was incredibly complex and difficult and just long as heck.
Yeah, I remember talking to him after, because, we were going to do the trophy presentation, and I got to chat with him for a little while, and it was just like, hey, what's up? And I'm just like, dude, I'm like half dead. Afterwards, I just went straight home. He won that here in Seattle, and I just went right home and went to sleep. I was so exhausted after covering that match, just because it was so intense. And it shows, like you said, his ceiling, right? I mean, Brian is a premier level player, and he's going to need to get it together here against Brad Nelson, no doubt about it, try to scrap out a win. And that's kind of how being a professional goes sometimes. Illyrios Enraptured, which, by the way, you totally knew the name of.
I get it right.
Yeah, you nailed it. Okay. And then you're like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, yeah, I would be too if I knew the name of every card. Like, you totally had it. Is a sweet combo, by the way, with Thassa Deep Dwelling. And we may be able to see that happen next turn.
I see so many darn cards between doing this job and actually playing Magic and then editing articles for website, where sometimes it's just like, I'm pretty sure that's right, but it's also, it's like the minor things that I know are right. Like, whenever someone jams Mind Sculptor for Jason the Mind Sculptor is 1 word when it's 2, I just lose my mind. I lose it.
Oh, that's great. We found your Achilles heel.
Well, like, so as Elios in Rapture, I'm just like, I'm not sure. Card sees no play. I feel like I've edited in like twice in 5,000 articles that I've edited, so it's like I'm not 100% positive on this one. But hey, look at that, I got it right. I don't know my own blood type, but I got that right, so good for me.
I actually don't know mine either. Somebody asked me. Of course. I don't know, but I know what Illyrios Enraptured does.
Gotcha.
And we might actually get a chance to see just what it does here as well, because Thassa blinking at every turn does get out of hand quite quickly, and is particularly good against a deck who's trying to beat you down on the ground. And somehow BBD has reduced Brad Nelson into mono blue illusions.
Yes. Here come the knuckleheads. So this is an interesting little attack here by Brad. Insofar as like, this attack is just like, hey, I've got an Embercleave, you better be careful. And it's kind of like, well, I'm not going to play around your Embercleave because it can't. So here are my blocks. Yeah.
Here's some blocks. So he gets to gobble up a 3/3, trade off the apparition. That is going to leave Brad Nelson with a 4/4 illusion. But his only other option here is a Gem Razor, and it looks like he's just going to run it out. Not great.
No, not really.
He does have BBD down to 7, however.
And the small takeaway there is that because Embercleave didn't show up that turn, that means that Brian knows that it's not there, because it would have shown up if Brad had it, in my opinion. And therefore, on the subsequent turns, all Brian has to think about now is like, okay, so if you peeled Embercleave, what does it look like? Okay, I can play around it, or I can't play around it, so I'm going to block accordingly, and that's just what it looks like kind of for the rest of the game, I think. Because the rest of Brad's deck is like creatures and some Bone Crusher Giants, and yeah, that's pretty much about it. So.
Well, BBD's taking his time to go through the decision points here, but it does seem like Illyrios is going to be very powerful. He's going to get that 3/2. Blanket get another one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be pretty tough for Brad to break through.
Also, Omen of the Sun at the ready too to play.
Yeah, that could throw off the math as well. It really is just down to kind of Embercleave or bust here for Brad Nelson, it looks like.
See, and this is like part of the reason that I like the matchup Brian has against creature decks. You've got Thassa going. Thassa generates a very meaningful advantage. You don't have this kind of stuff where it's like, I hope my counter spells line up correctly, and Urian Mirrors or Against Mirror Rogues or stuff like that. So I think the matchup is good for Brian. I can't say it with absolute certainty, but certainly this game, when you've got Thassa going, it feels good.
It looks like we're going to go for main phase here.
Yeah, this is going to be really nice.
Right. So, you like the blinking with the Illyrios. Well, why not get it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get the Illyrios and the Omen. By the way, chat spent the good 4.5 minutes discussing whether Thassa was indestructible or not. So that's where we're at, chat.
Well, I mean, which of the gods from Theros block are indestructible besides all of them?
Besides everyone ever printed. All right. Okay. So there we go. Game number 1 goes to
You bring out the worst.
Braun-Duin.
You bring out the worst in me.
I really do. I love it. I unleash you, it's like
unleash me.
I unleash you on chat too. That's the best part. Poor unsuspecting chat who's in the middle of typing out a long sentence that basically just says Thassa is indestructible, therefore Gemrazor cannot destroy it. And then you come along and just
I'm just here to clear it up. And some people are typing Mind Sculptor as one word, and I'm just gonna have to close the chat soon.
Somebody earlier typed Jack Mind Sculptor with just one word, just double typos.
See, the only reason I get so upset about that, for the record, is like, if it were just a random card, it would be fine. But it is like the most powerful planeswalker in history, and a top 20 card in Magic history. So could we just get it right? It would be like spelling LeBron James wrong. Just could you not?
Like LE space BRON?
Yes, that.
That's tilting.
Just get it. I had to get my LeBron reference in for the weekend too. That was my first one.
I support it.
Oh, thank you.
I will never hinder your LeBron references. I'm here for it.
I appreciate you.
He says that a lot.
Oh boy, chat has been enabled.
Did you notice the pace has picked up a little in there?
I have.
Poked the beehive. Now they're all coming out.
They're paying attention.
All right. A keeper here for BBD who's up a game over Brad. Really, gotta say, super important here for Brian Braun-Duin just to get back on track and salvage something out of this weekend with a third win. Brad, on the other hand, as we mentioned, with 7 wins, really would put himself into that upper tier with the 8th win. That's a very solid total. But we'll have to see if he can do it here. Right now, it's just going to be Heart's Desire, go, land, go. There's an Omen of the Sea here on turn 2 for Brian Braun-Duin.
I got this Omen of the Sea. I'm a little scared here for BBD because this Omen of the Sea is going to have to bridge the gap in a big way because his hand is very expensive and he's on the draw. Wow. First meaningful play could be Elspeth Conquers Death, which is not going to get the job done.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. So let's see what he finds with this Omen. Hoping for something 2, 3, or 4 mana. That's not it. 2 Another Omen of the Sea is not it.
Good draw.
There's a Baron right in time.
That's a good draw. Okay, so here's the fun little game. Do we bounce the token or do we bounce the Lovestruck Beast?
How greedy are you is the question. Bounce a token. Just do it.
I mean, I can see Brad's hand. I can't guess.
All right. Yeah, BBD. There you go. Strand that beast at home. Oh, you love to see it.
Yep.
Takes the high upside line.
Paid off.
Gets rewarded. So what's the best thing Brad can do here? Just bone crush on end step? Yikes. Wow. Brian must be thrilled, by the way, with that outcome.
If it's
he
just
found the card
turn
he
four,
needed,
yeah,
didn't
keep
get
going.
attacked, and there was nothing added to the board.
Yeah, that's the dream. It's just like turn four. You excuse me, what?
Yeah. Go
He's like,
ahead. What? I can go?
okay,
Go ahead.
okay, okay.
Your move. All right.
This
Well,
game, this game looks bad for Brad now. I
right.
think.
This one turn cycle kind of all he did was cast a Bone Crusher Giant, or I should say a Stomp. That's not going to get it done.
So
His
what he gets to deploy Vivian, make a bozo.
and
It's not the
then
worst.
get it snapped off
Yeah.
by ECD. Boy, wow, that one-two punch of a turn there with BBD taking no damage and only getting his 2/2 killed has really turned the tide, because now his slow hand just looks like he gets to cast 5-drops for the foreseeable future. Does he want to play this stuff?
So
Feels like
I don't.
no, right?
I think he might want a Mirius Call because that'll be land number 6. Well, I guess he already has one. Nah, he already has one in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see. Navigating the next couple of turns, I can see putting both in the bottom and just taking a mystery card because he does have land 5 and 6 already rolled up, and now there's land 7. Because land 6 is the island, land 7 could be just be a Mirius Call. He could also have interest in just hard casting Mirius Calls, which stabilize the 2/4/4s in the battlefield. So he's already got 3 white mana. So yeah, he's all right.
Boy, I don't know if you caught that, Cedric, but Brad just looked to the side when that ECD hit the battlefield, and it was a big sigh from him as well. He's just like, oh, God, this is going to be harder than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it never feels good when you're in a spot like this where your aggressive deck hasn't really been all that aggressive. You know, he didn't do anything relevant on turn number 4, so he could kind of run down ECD. And also, let's take a look at BBD's life total 21.
Mm-hmm. You can see that there's an opportunity here for an Embercleave to hit the battlefield on the beast and at least get some forward motion going. But yeah, still good. I mean, bang, bang, hit you for 8.
Yeah, that beast has got a lot of work to do, though.
It really does.
Yeah, I think it's either time for a Big Bird or another ECD. If you go Big Bird, you get to blink out your ECD, have it come back, have the tax still on from Chapter 2, take care of the cleave, blink out your Omen of the Seas, play your Amir call tapped, and have a 4/5 blocker. I mean, a lot to like.
Feels like game, right? I mean, like just as a snapshot right here with where we're at, this feels extremely difficult for Brad to come back from, especially with we haven't even seen the scrying and the cards come back into hand for BBD either. So he's going to be in beautiful shape next turn, and it's really not possible for Brad to kill him from this position, next turn.
Yeah, and I even said that playing Amir's Calls the land would be a good idea since it would enter the battlefield tapped. But because Brian actually drew a land that turn with planes, means he can hold Amir's Call, play an island next turn, and then make 2/4/4 angels with Amir's Call.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean this is gonna be real tough for Brad.
Yeah, the slow draw here for Nelson in game number 2 has been very punishing. He was fortunate enough to have BBD have a slow draw himself, but as you know, if Brian's deck gets to this point in the game, it's just doing way more powerful things than what Brad can do really at any point outside of Embercleave.
Yep. And if you can get yourself in a situation like BBD is trying to get himself into, where even a top deck Embercleave or a second Embercleave, which we know Brad has, isn't really even that bad of news. It's the best card in his deck in spots like this, so you're not really that scared of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And see, Brad that turn he can't even go to Embercleave because Brian's going to block with his Urian, and there will be a trade and exchange of resource and everything, and then Brian will lose a bit of life, but that 3/3 will be gone. Wouldn't be able to deploy the Bone Crusher Giant as well, and then it's just kind of like, what are you doing over there, Brad? And the answer is not much.
And the answer is not enough here. BBD being very careful to work his way through the last stages here, but he seems to have put himself in a position to win this thing.
Yeah,
He's got 7 mana available.
It's all about don't lose to Embercleave now because Brad doesn't have a card better than Embercleave in this situation. I guess you also want to keep Shatterskull Smashing in the equation, but don't forget that because of ECD's Chapter 2, that Shatterskull Smashing isn't going to be exactly easy to cast.
No.
Oh, the loop-de-loop. We are going to demonstrate the Charming Prince Urian loop-de-loop.
Goodness sakes. Is there going to be anything left?
I saw Brad just shook his head, and he shook his head because, oh, cool. So I'm being attacked by Urian right now? That's probably not good.
That's not good news. Now the real question for people like you and I who have been covering Brad for years and years is just how much more can he take before the scoop now?
Yeah. Questing Beast. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget also, Marsh, that Embercleave's going to cost 2 additional mana because of the tax on from ECD as well. So this is going to be yikes.
Does have enough to cast, but yikes indeed. Yeah, I keep going back to that one turn where Brad just wasn't able to do anything to add to his board. The best he could do was kill a Baron, and that was what was needed. It was the sequence of BBD finding Baron, casting it, and then getting basically a turn off from his opponent. You know, that sequence, forget it. And by the way, Thassa Deep Dwelling is on the battlefield, like ready to rumble here, thanks to the Yorion and the 2 Omen of the Seas as well.
Yeah, it's rare that you see that card actually turned on, ready to rumble, but that's where we are.
Brad is going through all the possible iterations here, trying to figure out if there's any possible way out with that freshly drawn Questing Beast plus the Embercleave in hand. The tax is on. Shatterskull Smashing. Expensive. Is there anything that Brad could use to stay alive another turn, yet also put himself in a position to win? It feels like no from this point, but Brad's going through all the iterations and also thinking about what he may draw off the top of the library that could change that.
I wonder if Brad's just going to run out of timeouts. We saw him do this in the finals of that Mythic Championship against Canister.
Yeah, he just stared him down when he did it, too, because they were sitting across from each other. No, he's going to attack. Put BBD to the test. Brian has no problem immediately blocking both creatures.
We are going to wait in anticipation.
Yeah, it looks like both players have kind of slowed down a little bit. By the way, we've got chat lethal here.
Oh, we got chat lethal?
Oh, they're calling it, yeah.
Oh, it's this game?
Yeah, it was over. This turn was a lethal attack, yeah.
From 13?
Yep.
Dang. That's pretty sick.
All right, what is Brad doing? He's letting his timer go down in combat. He has nothing he can do here.
All right, squad's dead. Shatterskull Smashing your Big Bird? He's making BBD sweat.
He really is. Okay, well, pass the turn back over. BBD still at a cool 13 life.
Yeah.
Glass Pool Mimic and a glass casket. It's all glass on top of the library here. Shinies for Brian Braun-Duin. He's going to go ahead and draw the Mimic. Seems to have frozen a little bit, at least for me.
I can't tell if they're frozen or if they're just stopped moving. Are we in the lock? Okay, it's just frozen. Okay. I was like, man, they are really still.
Yeah, I always look to the icon, not an icon. What is it called? The lion,
like Avatar.
The avatar. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it'll glow, and it's not.
Yeah. Okay. Yo, we're just live on the air, and we're just trying to fix this mistake for the peeps at home.
We went back a little. Looks like we went back in time a little.
Okay,
I'm going to predict the glass for a minute. All right, we're
Okay,
going to take another running start at that sequence.
Okay. We've run into the brick wall again.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh, someone said buffering in the Twitch chat. Yep. Buffering.
It is. I wonder if our recording has a issue.
There you go.
All right, so we're gonna try to get this sorted out. All right, chat. I mess with chat. They called for chat lethal on us, and it looks like they pushed it through.
There you go. And now we're lethal.
The video's not going, and we got lethaled out of nowhere. So we do apologize. Chat says, "Mom, get off the telephone. I'm on the internet."
Pretty much, yeah. So, look, if I had to guess with my powers of deductive reasoning, if we can't get back to the game, I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say that Brian probably won. If I had to guess,
if you had to kind of extrapolate where we were at,
like he was pretty far ahead.
Yeah, and imagine being in Brad's seat. You're behind. It hasn't worked out at all, and then your opponent scries to and goes top. And they have 4 cards in hand already, and you're sitting there like, okay, how much more of this can I take before just calling it good? So we're gonna see if we can get that thing back up. Oh, I think we might be back.
Claims.
Let's do it.
Wow.
Okay, we skipped ahead just a slight bit here, but as you can see, that Thassa is in the red zone, and Brad is probably playing with the dog, I'm going to guess.
Okay. Brad's going to just look down and wait to be prompted for when.
I think he's probably got the dog, right? Yeah. Isn't it this time of the game when
I would be playing with my dog if I had one right now, given how this. Oh, hold on.
Oh no.
I can't win, but I have an idea.
What is Brad doing?
Okay.
Oh no. I do not like it when Brad rubs his hands together like that. He's leaving.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. Okay.
Oh, is he gonna barge into BBD's room?
I'm thinking easy disconnect the Wi-Fi.
Look at BBD.
Yeah, he has no idea.
He's like, what is going on?
Okay.
And remember, Brad's on 0 timeouts here. Like, if he times down, he's going to try to make the plays for him. It was his only out. Oh, he's going for the concede button. And there's the big handshake. Braun-Duin picks up the win here. Brad thinking outside the box. Runs over for the concede button, but can't quite get there. We had a bit of a wrestling match in the middle of our game. I've never seen anything like that, but here we are, and BBD picks up a much needed victory. Again, these last victories down the stretch here, getting him to 3 wins. If he has a really great showing in the next one, that could put him right back in the thick of it. So great job by Braun-Duin, and I have to say I admire the out of the box thinking there from Brad Nelson. Just runs over and tries to tackle BBD.
Classic 1%er. You got to play all your outs right there. So I like it.
Best part too is that he actually got, I saw the concede button on the screen. He almost got there. He couldn't quite do it. All right, so I think that's going to do it for our broadcast. Are we signing off from here, or is Tim doing it?
I don't know. I think.
We've got another game. Okay. We have, let's see, Andre Strosky versus Drew Cuneo lined up for you. We're not done yet. That wasn't it. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have the final game here from our weekend. We'll see you in just a little bit.
Hello and welcome to The Bold, your rapid-fire introduction to the most exciting players in Magic. And right now I'm joined by Rivals competitor Emma Handy. Emma, how are you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I can't complain too awful much.
We'll jump straight into some questions. Do you have a favorite Magic deck ever?
My favorite Magic deck ever. The one that I've played the most is Modern Infect. I just like having to sort of crawl across the finish line with cards that might look weaker on their face, but are able to just really punish somebody for stumbling.
What is the worst deck you've ever played?
I know I played an 80 card mono white deck back when I first started playing Magic because I opened an Achroma Angel of Wrath. And I just wanted to play it, but I didn't want to cut any of my life gain cards because I wanted to stay alive long enough to cast her. So it was just an 80 card life gain monstrosity that had one Achroma hiding in there. So that's got to be the worst deck I've played. But it gets my like nostalgia brain juices flowing.
What's a card you really hate to see played against you?
Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Easiest answer in the world, because all that card does is tell someone they get to play less Magic. Like it's the most miserable prison card, because at least Chalice of the Void, you kind of resign yourself to it. But Thalia, you're kind of given this sliver of hope that maybe you can work around it. So you just do twice as much brain power for half as many game actions. I hate it.
Is there a player in MPL or in the Rivals League who you really want to beat, who's kind of like your rival?
Who I really, well, I mean, I'm the rival, right? If I had to pick somebody, it's the worst because I don't want them to lose, but I do just want to play as many matches as possible against Autumn. We haven't, because we're just from different countries and came up in different places, we don't really get to play that much sanctioned Magic against each other, and there's just the friendly ribbing or whatever that comes from going, I've beaten you 3 times, maybe you'll get one on me someday. So it just is going to lead to more fun than me beating, Javier or LSV or whatever.
Is it easier to deal with the Autumn's death stare when you're online instead of being in person?
Here's the thing. For everyone else, it's a death stare. For me, it's just, Autumn, come on. Who do you think you're doing this to? Like, come on. I know what's behind that. I've seen you play your Wario copy game. Don't pretend you're tough now.
One more question for you. Where can we find you online?
Where can you find me? Good grief. Too many places. I do writing and coverage for StarCityGames.com. I have a stream, and most of my social media handles are going to be under EM_TEEGEE. It's the MTG double entendre. You see what I'm getting at here? And I also do some script supervision and production for Tolarian Community College. So really, I've got fingerprints all over the place.
Awesome. Thanks, Emma.
Hello and welcome back, my friends. Tim Willoughby here saying we have, in fact, got one more match of Magic. It's a match of Magic that, in terms of the decks involved, might look kind of familiar, though we do have some new players to bring it to you. We have Andre Strasky, who is on Gruul Adventures with a 7-4 record thus far, up against Andrew Cuneo on Azorius Blink on a 2-9 record. So bizarrely, in terms of the numbers, a very, very similar match to the one that we had just mere moments ago between Brian Braun-Duin and Brad Nelson. I would be stunned if we had exactly the same ending, because these two based somewhat further away than the other two players that we saw in that previous round. But Gruul Adventures once again against Azorius Blink. And if it goes anything like the last one, every reason to think that potentially this could be exactly what Andrew Cuneo was looking for in terms of a way of getting out of the weekend with a slightly more positive record. Just, getting that win at the very end there, it feels all the sweeter. They're all worth the same amount, but practically speaking, finishing the day on a high potentially there. So let's see if we can have a little look at some lists. Here is Strasky's Gruul Adventures, and hauntingly similar to what we saw for Brad Nelson here. Now, Cedric, based on what we saw in that last match, do we have any additional insights on maybe how this Gruul Adventures list might want to pilot this matchup?
Draw better than Brad did? Can I say that?
I mean, it never hurts, right?
Okay, yeah, I don't think Brad's draws were especially good. I'm not sure the matchup's that good either, but that would be my advice, is draw better than Brad did in those 2 games, or perhaps do better, make your opponent disconnect.
Yeah, I think that one might be a little bit of a tougher one. So we'll go with a drawing plan on that side of things. But on the other side, let's have a look at what Andrew Cuneo is working with here, because a lot of room in an 80 card deck to make variations in terms of what you're going for with Azorius Blink.
A little saddened to see no Thassa like Brian did have, because it did do some good work there. But instead, we have a second copy of Sublime Epiphany, 2 main deck copies of Shadow of the Sky instead of just the one. But a lot of the stuff is going to look pretty similar. Also, I got some Dream Trawlers hanging out here too. This deck, I believe, does a really nice job against creature decks like Gruul Adventures. So my expectation here is for Cuneo to do very well, just like we saw BBD do against Brad.
Well, we do not need to leave it to expectations. Let's head back down to our feature match area for this, genuinely the last time on the weekend. It's going to be Andre Strasky, Andrew Cuneo, and we're going to have Marshall Sutcliffe and Cedric Phillips bringing you this final match.
Thank you, Tim. And so we're coming in on game number 2, it looks like. That is not true? Okay. Oh, it is game number 1. All right, so we'll get the full match here. Andre Strasky versus Andrew Cuneo.
And we don't even know if that's a spoiler or not, that Cuneo, he could be up a game. He might not be up a game. We don't know.
Somebody could have won a game. You are correct, Cedric.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Edgeball Innkeeper to kick things off now for Strasky. And look at that. A very timely glass casket.
Yeah, it's a good target for that.
Indeed. That's why he wanted it. So there you go. Innkeeper in the casket. Let's see if Strasky can get back on the board here with the potential beatdowns. You see the Stonecoil Serpent into Gem Razor possibility.
It doesn't look bad, actually. You mentioned Serpent on 2. Could be Gem Razor, Kazandu Mammoth on 3. Something else on 4. So we'll see. Uh-oh. It's cutting to us, maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, it looks like we have gameplay going here, no problem. But I do think that the syncing's a little bit off. So, yeah, because otherwise we just saw Andre Strasky play a land with his mind.
Ooh.
Which is really impressive.
Okay.
Okay, here comes the Kazandu Mammoth now.
Moo.
Yeah, that thing's ready to rumble.
And it moves.
Cuneo's going to crack a Fabled Passage on end step here, as well as cast Omen of the Sea. In that order. Ooh, Sublime Epiphany.
I love that sound.
That's a nice one. Now, I don't know if he wants it right now. He does.
Yeah, so we got a big setup going here, because we're going to go land, Solemn Simulacrum, search for land number 5, drew land number 6, and ETB's tapped because it's a temple, but setting up for, look, you resolve Sublime Epiphany against a deck like this, you are basically a lock to win, because that card is so obscenely powerful.
Mm-hmm. And he'll get 2 shots at it if he decides to throw the Simulacrum under the bus, though it looks like he's not going to do that. He does have Yorion Sky Nomad in hand, and probably just wants a solid backup plan in case the land doesn't show up for him.
Yep.
Boy, especially with a second Yorion. Just run him out there. Big bird.
I love me a good big bird.
Yeah, this is very impressive. He gets to do all 3 of his other permanents here, including the glass casket. Oh, and there's a Dreamy Tea on top of the library, too.
Keep that, too.
This draw's been very nice. Here comes... Now, is he going to search with the Solemn?
Yeah, it looks like just double scry. Okay, so now take your Dream Trawler, draw off of that, then resolve the Solemn. And now the casket. And everything is stacked appropriately, and life is good for Cuneo.
Yeah, it's almost like Cuneo's done this before.
Perhaps.
Finds the Dream Trawler into hand and then goes and gets the land. Everything beautiful there for Andrew. He passes the turn back. Go ahead.
I mean, sitting at an incredibly comfortable and healthy 15 life.
Right, having only really taken 1 hit thus far. Here comes Stonecoil Serpent and a Gem Razor on top of it. So he can use that to get rid of, well, probably the glass casket, but he's got options. Shatters the casket. Now he's got a 5/5 and 2 1/1s over there as well. Another solemn simulacrum off the top. But I wonder if Andrew Cuneo has his sight set on even bigger and better things.
I think did we just go backwards? We just went backwards.
Just happened. Okay.
No, maybe.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Okay. All right.
We liked seeing him get value so much that we decided to see it again. There we go.
Hey, I think we're back.
Top back in his hand.
So nice, we did it twice.
Chat says time walk. Yeah. So now Andrew Cuneo has to decide how best to proceed. He certainly has his options. He's got Sublime Epiphany, another Yorion, Dream Trawler. He could even double Solemn this turn if he wants to use the Glasspool Mimic for max value.
Did somebody say max value?
Yeah, maybe just do it. Yeah, baby. He actually did it. That's amazing.
Let's live this dream.
Boy, there's a lot riding on that Embercleave on the other side of the battlefield. I'll say that.
You ain't kidding.
This board for Cuneo.
I mean, as much fun as the Solemn Simulacrum thing is, they're just 2/2s. Yep. They're not all that imposing.
No, they're really not.
Against the
everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Send it.
Get in there. So now the only decisions that Andrew has to make are around Embercleave, right? Like how would I block if I knew that my opponent or assumed that my opponent had an Embercleave? Because right now the cleave only costs the 2 red mana, so very easy to do. And Andrew has to decide, well, do I want to force the issue? Do I just want to spread out these blockers? Do I want to go for a multi-block on something? And it looks like he's going to go for 1 blocker each. He's looking at it and saying, okay, you cleave this. I take 12. I'm still alive.
This is a pretty healthy hit.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of cards going into hand here for Cuneo.
He needs to find a Shatter the Sky. That's what he needs to find.
Yeah, that would be the easy way, wouldn't it?
I think so. I mean, I still expect the Sublime Epiphany to be good, but
yes, I agree. One of Sublime Epiphany's modes is return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. That can certainly mess around. Did he die?
I guess that was Xaxes.
Wait. What just happened? What was the trampler that I missed? Oh, it was a Gem Razor or something? Yikes. I did not realize that was Xaxes. My chat says math happened, and I could not agree more. No. If you say maths in my chat, though, that's ban-worthy offense. No maths here. Strosky's in the chat laughing at us, too, because he knew it was lethal.
Okay, well, you know what? And I say to that, I say chat lethal wins this round. That's what I say to that. Chat lethal, you win. I didn't think it was lethal.
I can't believe that Chat Lethal actually got there this weekend.
That's like there this time.
It's a dark part of our history here. It was Chat Lethal. Unbelievable. Chat is so happy right now.
Chat, you can pat yourself on the back. I got no counter, no snark.
You know what? Don't let it go to your head, Chat. You got 1 Chat Lethal through on us. That's it. It's the only one you're getting.
I mean, I would say Commentators Infinite, Chat 1. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Man, Trample's a heck of a mechanic, isn't it?
It's powerful. Double Strike 2. Together, very tough. Chat never misses lethal, though. That's a comment.
See, this is why it's hard to trust them, you know?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into game number 2 here any old time. Strosky looks like he's decided on whether to keep this one after picking up game number 1. Strosky, very good weekend, 7 wins. If he can pick up one of this game or the next, he'll improve to 8, which is darn respectable. I would assume that that's on track to finish in that highermost tier after it's all said and done, if you can repeatedly go 8 and 4 at these.
That's the dream.
Cunio's in that same position that we talked about with BBD, where, boy, getting that 3rd win and coming away with just something to build off of for the next one would be such a huge difference. With 2 wins on one of these, outside of doing something like completely remarkable, it's hard to imagine being able to string together enough to be in that uppermost MPL tier.
I agree. Okay, there's land 3, ETBT.
Yeah, we're underway here, right? Yeah, pass. So Essence Scatter, the name of the game here for Cunio, has no interest in casting the Birth of Meletus just yet. He knows a Love-Struck Beast is on an adventure, so that's a fine target for an Essence Scatter. He's going to fire it off here.
Yep.
He took 1 damage down to 18. Maze Mind Tome, good, but for later.
Yeah, it might come down now. You play Birth, play the land. You play the tome.
He'll play it now. Just, down the line type of card here.
Oh, sure.
Just to make sure that he keeps his board in check in the interim. But yeah, got to just start tapping that thing too, right? Just scry. No, don't worry about the draw at this point.
Yeah, I don't think you care about the draw at this point. You just want to maximize your draw step with the scry, especially because you've basically got your next couple of turns rolled up with ECD, Urian, and if you do play Skyclave Apparition, you'll have some mana left over to draw a card, but I think for the most part, your turns are pretty set now.
Right.
And even on that Skyclave Apparition turn that I talked about, chances are you'll have 6 mana, so you can play Skyclave Apparition and then also pull Urian from the Companion Zone to your hand if you want to do that. So I think your first couple activations of this Maze Mind Tome will be scries, not drawing a card.
Strosky deciding how he wants to proceed. Land number 4 hits, and it's going to be Questy B. Questing Beast hitting the battlefield. So that'll be able to get in with the human token here and knock Cunio down to 13. There's a scry from the tome. Uh-oh.
Well,
ECD on top.
I don't think you mind another one.
Thank you. So this will take care of the Questing Beast. Also, Chapter 2 goes off, leaving an 0-4 wall. So at least as things sit, Andrew's not taking any damage on the board. Now we do see Brushfire Elemental, which looks like it could get in for 5 here. Not bad.
Yeah, old brushy boy.
Uh-oh. What's that head shake there from Strosky?
Do you want to go? Okay. Do you want to go brushing? Do you want to go? Okay. Well, if you're sacking the Fable Passage now, you're not going brushing. You're going Vivianing.
Yeah.
Vivianing.
Vivian. All right. Looks good. Vivian Monsters Advocate's going to hit the battlefield and start creating beasts. This one has reach, it looks like. Essence Scatter.
This also kind of sets you up for a pretty nice little turn, too. So, let's scry that away. You draw your card for the turn. I guess you'll scry now to ensure your draw step's good. But, Shatter. Okay, don't want Shatter. Interesting. Yeah, actually, no, it makes sense that you don't want that. What I'm going to say now, though, is the ability to play Brushfire Elemental and Embercleave in the same turn. Pretty nice.
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, you give away the double landfall, unless, of course, you get lucky and draw another Fabled Passage. But you did get yourself a pretty nice return on your investment there. Now, Andrew's going to have to go for Urian here, as we see the ECD is already at 2. And so it looks like he wants to make sure to reset that so that he can continue to get value off of it going forward. But rather than playing out the other ECD, this also gives him a blocker.
Yeah, but we can't forget now that ECD has gone to Chapter 2, and because it has gone to Chapter 2, that means that Embercleave is more expensive. So the
Truth.
idea of that Elemental and Embercleave in the same turn is pretty much off the table now.
Yeah,
Yep.
it sure is. There's Kazandu Mammoth. And that took all of the green mana there for Strosky, so it's going to have to just sit on the battlefield and wait its turn, just like everybody else.
Yep.
And we could see a big turn here on numerous different ways now from Cuneo. He even drew Emiria's Call, which he could just cast.
Yeah, it's decks like these, Marshall, these Urian decks that look like this. Why your general creature deck, like Mono Green Aggro or Mono Red Aggro or Gruul Adventures, have not fared that well over the past couple of weeks. I mean, this is just every card that these Azorius decks play are very tough. ECD, Big Bird, Skyclave Apparition, like it's really rough.
It really is. And now you see the double Brushfire Elemental turn here from Strosky. But even though they have haste, there was no landfall to follow up and no attacks from either of them, as Strosky is behind on board and just has to pass back. He's going to try to lean on this Embercleave about as hard as you possibly can. And if he attacks, I'm just going to assume it's lethal.
That's probably a wise thing to do here. This is an attack for 12.
Yeah, there is
Okay.
one Reach Beast down there, but this is a non-lethal attack, so Andre doesn't actually have to do anything here.
All right. Well, the only thing
ECD. Mm-hmm.
the only thing I think to myself is, don't die now, Cuneo, because this would be really awkward. But
That's right.
with an ECD and a Skyclave Apparition killing two things this turn, I think that's going to be pretty unlikely.
Yeah, it seems really difficult. Although, wow, that was even an Evolving Wilds there that would have pumped up both of those elementals. They both would have been 5/5s and a cleave coming down. Yeah, you can see why Cuneo decided to make sure to take that thing down. Okay, well, everybody's in the red zone, and we're certainly going to see some blocks here. So that must be lethal, right?
Oh, for sure.
It was lethal. Somebody died that turn.
Definitely lethal for somebody.
Yeah, so we were right. Take that, chat. Now we've got one more game to go on the weekend here. Is it going to be Andrew Cuneo salvaging what has been a tough weekend for him? Or will it be Andre Strosky putting the capper on what has been a very good weekend for Andre? 7 wins. Andre gets to be on the play this time. That's huge. There are some draws where he can pile on so much damage so quickly that Cuneo really won't have a way to fight back.
And that's not a good hand from Cuneo, so going down to 6. And how's 5 sound?
This could be over very quickly. 2 negates. Oh gosh.
If you keep this hand, you ship a negate back, and you just hope to runner.
Right.
Okay.
No, it's a mulligan.
Fine. This is fine.
Yeah, this one at least gives you a chance to catch back up with the 2 Skyclave Apparitions, or I guess one of them has to go back away. Glass Casket, Skyclave Apparition, 3 lands. Let's run it. Not great draws for our players here. And it looks like Strosky's on 6 here as well.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 for Cuneo, 6 for Strosky. All right, this has worked out well so far, though just the scavenging news to kick things off here for Strosky means that Andrew Cuneo has the answer, gets to stay at a cool 20 life.
And has no turn 3 play. So Cuneo's actually doing pretty good if he just draws a couple of lands here.
Geez, just nothing for Strosky on 3, 2 Gem Razors and an Embercleave. Awkward. Well, at least Cuneo found something to do with his mana. He's going to pay the companion tax to put Yorion in hand and then pass the turn back. Now the 3-drop shows up, says Strosky. Great timing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, because Andrew Mammoth, it's got a high ceiling, but it can be an incredibly frustrating card. Like when it shows up in a situation like this, where it's like, I mean, I could play it, don't have a land, don't really want to draw a land to make it bigger, because I need to draw more spells on my mulligan.
Right. Yeah, that's rough. Centaur Courser, go. Like, that does not feel good in current era standard.
Yeah, it's not your favorite.
Strosky's looks like he's considering just running the Gem Razor out there, but now maybe going back to the idea of the Mammoth.
Well, the tough thing about the Mammoth too is like in a situation like this, it's not like it gets better over time,
Right, it
right?
gets worse, doesn't it?
Because you don't want to draw lands on like turn 7 and 8 in a game like this. You just want to keep drawing action. So the longer you wait to play it, it feels like the worse it's going to get. So I can understand why he's at kind of a inflection point right now of, do I just cast this dumb Mammoth and I hope to draw a land even though I don't want to draw a land?
Going to be mana efficient here. Run out the Gem Razor. Mirius calls the play, but this Skyclave Apparition is going to keep the Gem Razor at bay. Tuck it away quite nicely. Thank you very much. And then even then, if it dies, it's just going to come back as an illusion. Back over to Andre Strosky, who needs to find something better than that. Another Gem Razor. Ugh.
Not what the doctor ordered.
I just can't seem to keep anything on the battlefield for a turn either. You see Andrew waiting patiently to see what happens on Strosky's side, but with a mulligan to 5, it's about as good as it gets if you're sitting in Andrew's seat. He's at 20. He's taken no damage this game. And he just keeps on facing down a bunch of 3/3s and 4/4s that he has answers to.
This turn could be pretty simple so far as playing Birth of Meletus and Glass Casket, your Mammoth, attack for 2. That's not a bad turn at all.
That's pretty good. Could go for Yorion off of an untapped Emiria's call if it's warranted.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it, though. I think your line kind of covers the bases nicely.
It also lets you set up your Yorion for down the road better, too.
That's what I mean. Yeah, for sure. Like, you cover everything here. Yeah, get in there, Andrew. That's right. And then, interestingly, too, this puts a land in your hand. You put it on the battlefield. You pass a turn back. You're on 5. If you... Oh, well, it looks like I spoke a little too soon. It looks like Andrew was not planning on casting both Emiria's Call this game, so he's just going to play it tapped.
I see what you're setting up. I think he's going to cast one. I don't think... Well, clearly, with him playing one, he's going to cast one of them instead of both. But I understand what you were saying. You search for land 5 with Birth of Meletus. You blink, you get land 6. Maybe you draw land 7.
Right. And then you go runner, Emiria's Call. But Andrew decided just to go ahead and play it out there. Here comes Gem Razor. And this frustrating draw from Strosky just will not quit. I mean, it has been 4/4 go, 3/3 go, 4/4 go. And these are for 4, 3, and 4 mana respectively. These are embarrassing amounts to pay for this level of power in standard. You just cannot get away with this, even against a slow draw from Andrew. Somehow Strosky's has been even slower. At least Andrew double spelled that turn.
Yeah, if I'm Strosky and someone comes up to me, he's like, hey, just so you know, game 3 on the play with Gruul Adventures against Azorius Blink and they double mulligan. How would you be feeling? Be like, heck yeah. Where do I sign up for that?
Yeah.
Well, that's what's happened this game, and it certainly hasn't felt like it.
And this is going to be ugly once again for Strosky. You see, it's Yorion, Sky Nomad, hitting the battlefield, blinking most everything. It did leave one Glass Casket behind. But, very unfortunate here for Andre Strosky, the way that this has gone down the stretch. And Andrew Cuneo hung in there, gave himself a chance, took a tough mulligan on 6 down to 5. Never where you want to be when you get to this point. But has really kind of strung it together here and looks like he's in prime position to win here.
Yeah, I mean, what's part of the appeal of this deck that Cuneo is playing is that because a high majority of the cards that he's playing have in enter the battlefield effect, it's basically like drawing like half a card sometimes. And then when you get to blink some of this stuff out with the Yorion, then you're recouping from your mulligan. And now it doesn't even feel like Cuneo really mulliganed twice at all.
That's right.
Now he's just sitting pretty. He's got an Emiria's Call that he can play. He's got a Castle Vantress that he actually has a second blue source that he can start activating. And, in a game where you mulligan to 5 on the draw and someone deploys a Vivian, most of the time, when you're an Azorius deck, you're thinking, crap, I got no way to really deal with that. Cuneo can mostly ignore that this game.
Right. Has pressure in the air with the Yorion as well to start forcing the kind of blocking with Beast Train, if that's a thing. But look at this. Emiria's Call goes on the stack. And all Andre Strosky can do is laugh and look at the sky because this has gone horribly for him.
Yeah, this game has not gone well at all.
And it looks like he's even going to chump block with the Scavenging Ooze here.
Mm-hmm.
just to keep Vivian at 4 loyalty. Now what? Edgewell Innkeeper, nothing on an adventure. No, I spoke too soon. Where did that guy come from? Bone Crusher Giant.
He's here, but I don't think he matters all that much, unfortunately, for Bone Crusher Giant.
Yeah, he made his big entrance, and it was kind of like, oh, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Come on in. Andrew in a commanding position here with the 2/4/4 Flying Angels and Yorion on the battlefield. And that's going to do it. Andre Strosky is going to scoop him up. And Andrew Cuneo is going to salvage a win here in the last round and get up to those 3 wins. And we'll have to keep an eye on Andrew throughout the course of the season. But that last win might end up being very important for him